I got a lot of favorites when it comes to this car, the C8 Z06, which I feel like, you know, it's something you gotta say for the algorithm to get a push. Maybe, not really sure. But in daily life, I do feel like there's a difference. I feel like there's Corvettes and then there's the Z06. And really, I've never really thought about it too much that way, but then there's the ZR1. And if I had a ZR1, I'd probably say it was a ZR1, not just a Corvette. Just a Corvette, I think, is interesting, really, because I was going to get just a Corvette Stingray. And it's still a very impressive machine. It's, now that I think about it, you can put it in perspective, amazing time that we live in to have the choice between a Stingray, between the different configurations, whether it be a hardtop convertible or just, I don't know if you consider this to be a Targa top or what, but my Porsche salesperson, not where I bought it from, but where I used to service my vehicle, he called it the T-tops. I don't think he knows what a T-top really is. But either way, you have the Stingray variant, you have the Z06, and I think I'm putting them in order correctly here. Stingray, E-Ray, Z06, ZR1. The E-Ray and the Z06 I feel like could be interchangeable, but the E-Ray was definitely a consideration because of the wider body. But I love the exhaust coming out the center and everything great about this flat plane crank V8, which, yeah, a GT350 Mustang at the time when they came out was like, but this right here, this is something special. Speaking of YouTube algorithm, I feel like this is one of those videos where I'm not going to string you guys along here. You should be, this one should be titled 5 things or 3 things I hate about my Z06. And you get to the end of the video, you're like, there's absolutely nothing you hate about this car. So I'm not going to do that because it's old, it's worn out, it's yeah, it's pretty lame. But there are 3 things that I love. There's probably 50, 100 things that I love, but for today's discussion, conversation, chat, I'm going to stick with 3. The first 2 you've already seen and experienced. The third I am going to tell you about when I get to my recording spot where we can talk. Remote start. I think that's a big deal. I think remote start is a big deal, and also one of the things that really, it was like a bummer when I was thinking about upgrading the Porsche Macan to maybe a different, newer Porsche, or even maybe going back to BMW. I looked at some Mercedes because there's a new Mercedes coupe. I don't remember, they changed the letters and configurations and numbers, and I can't keep up with them like I used to. But there's a new coupe, and I was like, man, that looks kind of nasty. It was a 53 AMG. They didn't have a 63 yet. The sound wasn't there. Oh man, AMG really. I think I probably could have considered buying an AMG if they had a 63. If the 63 had a V8 in it. And I don't know, I think their interior needs some work. I just think their interior needs some work. I'm not overly thrilled about it. Oh yeah, and the exhaust note. Yeah, but that comes with the 63, so either way. According to my research, remote start was just not an option when it came to German vehicles. So now I'm looking at American and Japanese. That was pretty much all I had left. A Tesla, granted, you know, remote start is relative, and a Model 3 Performance, or really any Tesla for that matter, is pretty freaking quick. But I needed some emotion. I needed this flat plane crank V8. Outside of those options, I think Acura was a consideration, but the price point of an NSX, I just couldn't agree with it. I couldn't agree with it. So here we are. And so the remote start feature, which mattered more before we moved, when I was we were in an apartment, and I had a garage, but I didn't have the garage set up where I could park inside of it. So remote start would have been a nice feature to have on the hottest of hot days and the coldest of cold. Now we've moved, we're in a house and we have a garage, 2-car garage that we made ample space and room for us both to park in comfortably. My car and the Expedition Max, no issues, no complaints, no qualms. So there's that. But it's still cool to have because number 2 on the list is cold starts. And a cold start is amazing. Cold start is great, but if I can do a cold start from standing outside the car and at least have that option to choose from, I am not upset about that at all. So there's list number 1, or on the list number 1 and number 2 of the things that I really love about this car. Now number 3, I'm actually proving myself to be incorrect as I'm driving, and I have been noticed or waved at multiple times just leaving my neighborhood. Number 3 is being inconspicuous. Yeah, about that. And a part of this video will be us getting fuel, because this is going to be the first time I'm putting fuel in it since we got it. We are at 42 miles till empty. And I think I'm supposed to check the oil when I get fuel. So we'll probably do that too. I put the microphone on the inside of my shirt today, so hopefully there's less wind noise. It's been a while since I've recorded outdoors, so if it's real bad on this one, I'll run a dead cat next time. But here we are. And honestly, guys, this is the way it came. It's pre-owned. I'm pretty sure the windshield's tinted. I would assume that the sides are probably 20% and the windshield's probably 50%, could be 35. It's pretty dark. But in this configuration right now, this is set up, I feel like it's like incognito mode. You know, it's like you're not gonna know who's driving the car. As I was, making my way over here, I got a wave from a convertible LC 500, some guys that I've been seeing on a regular basis, kind of working, doing some construction, and I guess like since I've had the car, I brought it back Saturday, so Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. So it's been like 3 days. Today's the 4th day, technically, that people have seen it. Maybe it's going to start like becoming a little bit more familiar, but for the most part, I feel like I can get away with it just being a Corvette. Like, I don't think the average person is going to know, just like my Porsche Macan. Most people didn't know it was a GTS. They probably didn't even know that there were options to choose from. I feel like this car may fall into a similar category where, for the most part, it just looks like a Corvette. Corvette people will know, car people will know it's a Z06, but besides that, it won't draw too much attention. And I think that's a good thing. Granted, bypassing modification to the vehicle, another way of avoiding sticking out and just kind of blending in. And especially when it comes to, knock on wood, points on licenses and insurance rates and debits and deductions from my checking account to pay for speeding tickets. I don't mind not being noticed. Now, here's the funny part though. And no, I don't plan on modifying it at all. Granted, the titanium exhausts that I've heard online do kind of get me excited a little bit, but I'm gonna ride it as it is for a little bit. I'm gonna enjoy this factory warranty, and then also try to lick my wounds from how much I paid to get into this game, and we'll go from there. Now, this spot right here is actually, I wanted to come here intentionally because I actually recorded over there when I was making the video about the Porsche Macan. But at the time, I had no idea that this was even going to be a consideration. And I'm glad that it ended up being a consideration. I'm glad that we ended up here. And I'm also glad that I stuck with my guns on the spec and opted for a front end lift, because I found out yesterday that going forward in my driveway, I need the lift. I've got these little runners in the driveway like to help, but even still, pulling through that gutter, there's a little bit of a touch, so we use a front end lift. And if I had not had the lift and I lowered the car like I had planned on with a Stingray, then it would have been a challenge. It would have been interesting getting in and out of the driveway, and that's just my driveway. I haven't even figured out other places where I probably need to set the front lift to memorize the location to make sure that the entry and exit is safe for the front of the car. But what we ended up doing is trading in the Porsche Macan for this. Now, as I'm at the dealership, I'm about to put insurance on the car so we can drive it home. And as I'm about to put the insurance on it, I said, you know what? I am not going to take the insurance off the Porsche Macan. Reason being is we bought the car in Alabama. If we would have bought the car in Florida, I feel like the paperwork would have been processed and done to automatically transfer my tag immediately. But in Alabama, they did a little bit different. So they gave me a drive-out tag. The last thing I wanted to do was take the insurance off of the Porsche Macan and that tag, and it triggered here at the DMV that it is no longer insured and having an impact on my license. So I still have insurance on a car that I don't technically have or own anymore, as I'm waiting for the dealership to process the paperwork and send it to my tag office. It's costing me a little bit of money, but it's saving me peace of mind. But I originally had thought, well, let's just transfer the tag and run the same tag. And then I was like, well, since they didn't automatically transfer the tag, maybe I should get a tag that's a different color. Maybe I could get like a black tag or some variation of a black tag and just kind of like go with the flow of the car and its stealth mode appearance. And this actually has me thinking about, well, maybe the tag should be a custom tag and I can personalize it to say what I want it to say on it. And we're back to inconspicuous. And so I thought, well, it almost makes sense. Like, it's a play on words here, but my tag could say Mr. Nobody or Nobody or some variation of the words to get to the point of Mr. Nobody, like nobody. Windows up, tinted windows, looks like a Corvette, doesn't really draw too much attention. But I feel like if I do that, then it automatically draws attention and then it begins to stick out because the tag will be memorable. But I've got some time to decide, and ultimately that wraps up my list here of the 3 things that I like most about this C8 Z06, at least today. Number 1 being remote start, number 2 being cold starts, and number 3 being the fact that I know it's a Z06, you know it's a Z06. Some people on the road may think that, hey, it looks a little bit different, or maybe it's an E-Ray, maybe it's a Z06 or not. But for the most part, the general public, probably it'll go unnoticed, or at the very least, they'll just think it's a regular Corvette. And with 40 miles to empty, our fill up is 50 bucks, almost 15 gallons. And the reset puts us at 253.